going back to what made me make that switch.
Yeah.
I saw how much it was helping people and the fact that I knew the business side already. And, because if it was just the business side, that's why I never had made the switch, because I could have I would have been trading,
one for the other.
Yeah, something that makes me money for something that makes me less money, realistically. And once I saw that in the long run, I could be helping people, and a lot of people, and to know that it would have helped people that weren't with me then, I was willing to make less money initially for the future, which I knew eventually it would have been
on the back end
as much or more than I was making then.
Yeah.
And that's when I decided, all right, it's time to make a switch.
Yeah.
So are you a doctor?
No,
Okay.
far from
Your
it.
mom is though, right?
Yeah. So when I built the company, when I started working on it here in Florida, I told her, hey, start learning this stuff.
Yeah.
Start learning this stuff, and I'll hire you.
Yeah.
I might as well employ you. We had our issues before, but I might as well employ someone I know and can trust. And so I hired her.
And that's sort of a rare quality, right? In the medical marijuana field.
Your mom was a medical marijuana doctor?
She's a
is.
PhD.
In medical marijuana?
Well, she was just a doctor before the marijuana thing.
So what do you go to marijuana school if you're already a doctor?
No, that's my point though. How do a lot of people in that field already were just certified in medical marijuana, which is very different than going to a full college of becoming a doctor, correct?
No, not in this state.
Okay.
And so in this state, you have to be a doctor first, and then you can get a certification to become to basically add it to your abilities to recommend.
Okay.
But in the state of Florida, the requirements from going past a doctor into medical marijuana doctor are nothing.
Really?
They literally have you. I've taken the course. It's all about the laws. It's very easy. You guys.
So it's not another. It's for a doctor. It's not.
teach-
It's not a hard notch to put on the belt.
No, they don't. That's actually the issue. They don't teach the doctors enough about this.
Right.
And most of the doctors, when they start out, the patient comes in hey, I have neuropathy, I have pain. The doctor opens up a dispensary pamphlet and goes, all right, pain, this one. This is what you should take. And you go, well, why, doctor? And they go, because it says it on here.
Yeah.
They have no fucking clue.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'm allowed to curse.
Yeah. No. Absolutely.
100%.
Rip it.
They have no clue what they're telling patients to take. And for someone like you, that's fine because you know what you need.
Right.
You can listen to their advice a little bit, but you would also benefit from somebody who actually knows what they're talking about.
Yeah.
And
Where do you go to learn what you're talking about?
start off on the internet. I mean, with all things. But so what I had her do was actually go out and work with doctors who had been doing it already in California and Washington for years and learn from them. Plus, work with researchers and just find out. I flew her all the way to, I think it was in Italy, the International Cannabis Research Convention, ICRC. And there weren't really doctors there. It was all people, it was all scientists.
Really?
All people who had been doing nothing but just researching cannabis and doing crazy experiments on, rats and stuff like this to understand how it worked in their brains. And all kinds of crazy stuff. And that's where she picked up a lot of knowledge and brought it back to us so that we could learn it too.
Wow.
And so I focused on building everything around that and building out the business. And that was really where I came in because I had a really good grasp of marketing, business development. That's what I had already been doing.
So you fronted the capital for the business?
Yeah.
Okay. So the business is 100% yours, and then your mom is just an employer of the business?
Correct.
Okay. Now, when you took that step and you came back to Florida, you hired your mom and you started your business. What year is this now?
That would have been 2017, mid-2017.
Okay, so you've been doing this for about 5 years.
Yeah.
What has that journey of starting a business, A, was that scary? And then B, what has it been like trying to grow and scale the business?
So I'd already started a couple other businesses. Had some spectacular failures as well.
Yeah.
A good amount of them. And had a couple that were, slightly successful, and I lived off, just the small meager profits that I made off them. But this was the first one that I was really putting everything on it, all my time, and it was it's been a challenge.
Yeah.
And really where I think we did a lot better was where I came up with, I started a thing for myself called a 1,000-day challenge, right? So it was 1,000, it started off as actually 10, then kind of grew into 100 and 500. But what it was is I decided that all the time I was at the brokerage, when I started realizing how much my time I was wasting outside of that, outside of working or school, anything that wasn't positive towards where I wanted to be, I realized how much time I wasn't putting towards the things I wanted. And so I realized like, oh, there's so much extra time. There's so much extra time that I'm just wasting, doing nothing. And so I decided I want to see what I could do and what would happen if I just stopped taking days off. None. Don't take any days off anymore. Let's see the difference in work. And also, instead of working 9 to 5, I wanted to do 9 to 7. So 10 hours a day as compared to 8, and then working the weekends too. Right. So that was kind of the start of it. So I did that for, I think it was, first, like I did 10 days straight. I was like,
70 hours a week, 10 days straight.
So
70 hours,
the structure I did was, well, close. So the weekends, I would do a minimum of 6.
Okay.
Minimum of 6 hours worked on the weekends. But when I first started the company, I mean, I was doing 80
regardless.
80 to 90. I was there at 2 a.m.,
Wow.
working. But so then it went to 10 days. I was like, well, all right, I already made it to 10. Let's see if I can go to 20. And then I got to 100.
Yeah.
And then I eventually just kept, once I got to the 200 mark, I was like, let's just go for 1,000.
And so at the end of each of those benchmarks, like the end of 10 days or at the end of 20 days, how are you feeling at that point to make you extend the date? Are you 100% just saying, I feel fantastic and this was a good thing? Or are you at any point going I feel a little burnt out, but it's worth it?
The first 2 weeks sucked.
Yeah.
That's what I realized when I first adapted to my previous schedule, when I added, I was doing school full time. Because when I was at the brokerage, I was still doing full time classes.
Yeah.
And I realized once you get past 2 weeks of whatever schedule it is, it's fine.
You acclimate?
Yeah. It's like going up to a crazy amount. It takes 2 weeks to get your brain used to it. And honestly, I realized that for me, and I don't know if this is for everybody, but once I stopped taking those days off, I got what I kind of called hyper focus. When you show up back to work on Monday and you're like, what do I even fucking do?
Yeah.
I don't know what I do here. And the first 4 hours of you being at work are catching up to get back to where you were on Friday after you slacked off half of Friday.
Yeah.
And so I didn't have that anymore. So I was at one point, you just start problem solving more than you ever could imagine. And the reason why I wanted to do this, because in the beginning of starting a business, your hours account for pretty much 100% of the man hours worked.
Yeah.
Right. So if I put in 80 hours a week as compared to 40, I've now knocked out 2 weeks. Right. If I put in, so then if I double my output, I'm now cutting the time I want to get to my goal in half.
Yeah.
In the same amount of time. And all I had to give up was, going to the bar at 5 o'clock with a bunch of people who I really don't give a shit about.
And we're going to continue this, but to that point though, I find that at least for me, and it might be this 2 week hump, but I would rather work at 95% 5 days a week than 70% 7 days a week, because I'm an intense person, so when I show up to work for that 8 hours, I'm running, right?
Well, did you find that for yourself when you started working this extra time? Did your work
that was my big
drop?
that was the big determining factor for me, is could I keep
performance
the same intensity for more time?
Would my efficiency drop? And if you decide that you're not going to allow that,
then it doesn't.
You don't.
Yeah.
And because it goes back to, think about cavemen.
Yeah.
Right? Did they have the
Nick
ability?
loves bringing up the cavemen.
No, the Babylonians, yes. Yeah,
same shit, right?
Yeah, no. Maybe not. Good question.
Way further back, before Babylonians.
I guess Babylonians, are those the people in the Bible times?
I think they were chilling. Yeah, they weren't doing
okay. I always think about cavemen when you say it, to be honest.
Yeah. Well,
I think I'm thinking the word barbarian.
Research Babylonians.
Yeah,
okay?
barbarians.
Get your history straight, Pete.
All right, sorry.
But I really, this is just for me. I think that burnout, right, is 100% up there.
Mental.
It's 100% up there. Because if you decide that this is what I'm going to do and this is my goal and I have to do this to achieve it, you will do it no matter what. When there were cavemen and they were being chased by saber-toothed tigers, they didn't go, well, I've really, I got chased for the last 5 days. I really need 2 days off, Mr. Tiger. Could you please? No, it's either do that or get fucking eaten.
Yeah.
Right.
So if they, and the strong would survive, and because they decided that I'm going to keep running and push past what I have any idea that my limits could ever be. And that's kind of what my goal was, to keep pushing to really, truly find my limit, right? And know that what I think is my limit right now, 8 hours, is because there's clearly other people who can do it, right? I found my limit at about 105 hours per week. That was where I noticed that the efficiency was fine.
What's that breakdown to per day? Are either of you good at math?
12 hours a day
Yeah,
almost.
it's about 12.
Yeah.
Good shit, man.
But that took me planning out, eating meals while driving to work. I mean, 105 hours, of just pure work, not just being at the office. Of timing everything and just getting crazy about it. And that's really, but that's where
How long did 105 hours go for it? Like, how long did you
did that
keep that
for? About 2 weeks. Yeah. About 2 weeks. And I was like, it was not sustainable. And that's where I realized that I had to pull back.
But when you think about like the 105 hour ceiling or cap, right? And even if you pull down, okay, you found that, okay, I think I'm really good in the mid 90s, whatever it is. We talk about 5 sectors of life all the time. So like financial.
It's not balanced.
Yeah, well, right. I was going to get to that point, and I think I like that. That was your answer.
I like that there's no balance, but do you find that when you pull from one that others, because for me, I'm the same way. When I dive into something singularly, I definitely see decline in everything else. Yeah. And my question was, so I guess the answer that you're saying is, yes, that was worth it because I wanted to achieve that.
So for me, it was because of what my goals were and are, right? I decided that, fuck social life, fuck health, right?
Yeah.
That was definitely an issue, and that's what I'm addressing now, right? Fuck everything else besides for this because of the time that I was doing it in, right? Because of how much my work mattered in the beginning of a company. Because now if I did 100 hours, I have, collectively 13 employees. If I do 100 hours, as compared to 50, it only increases our overall man hours worked by 5-6%. If in the beginning, when there's me only as an employee and I double my hours from 50 to 100 or 40 to 80, I've now upped it by, I've doubled
50%,
it.
yeah.
No,
that's a good
100%.
100%,
yeah. Right. That's why when you start something, that's why in my opinion, you need to make the decision to shift the balance. Right.
At that time in your life,
conscious decision. Right. To say, I'm okay with putting off these other things because the returns later are that much more important. What we've done in 5 years generally takes most small businesses 12. Right. In the 3 years that I did the 1,000-day challenge, I put in the work.
So you literally finished it.
I actually ended up going past it. I did 1,129 days.
And what was the criteria during those 1,000 days?
10 hours a day for weekdays, 6 hours minimum on weekends.
So Christmas morning, you're waking up, going to the office for 3 years straight. Yeah. Wow. That's impressive.
Nice. I've worked at home sometimes.
Okay. Okay.
I break it up sometimes like that, and I could be out of town doing it. I have 9 offices. I'm not going to be at the same office every day.
Yeah.
We have a headquarters, but yeah, that was the breakdown. And in that time, in 3 years, I managed what somebody at 40 hours a week would have done in 7.5. Yeah. And that's
quite literally by doubling the workload.
Yeah. You should write a book, Marshall, called 1,000 Days, and because that's an interesting theory. I hear what you're saying.
Well, I don't recommend it
to
anyone. I'm not telling anyone to look. Let me say that. Don't do that.
But it gets my brain going because when I think about how successful I want to be in something, I get hungry for that. Like I want to. This is just a small thing, but I want to be fucking successful on this podcast, right? Successful doing this. Me and Pete, I mean, talk about it every single day at least. So we're always like kind of working towards it.
The question is, are you obsessed with it?
Yeah, I would say so.
When I say obsessed, do you eat, sleep, shit this? If you want to be that's what changed it for me. I had someone explain to me, because they had started their own thing, and they had just surpassed 2 commas, right? Over 7 figures in gross income. And I said, what really was it for you that made the change? He's like, once I became obsessed, and in every definition of that. Because when I was, and that goes back to the hyper focus thing. I don't have a better word for it. Maybe somebody has a better word for it.
I think it's appropriate.
Yeah.
I was problem solving in my sleep. I would wake up in the middle of the night and have to grab my phone, because my dream literally was how to solve a problem I was having at the office. And look, there's that also, you have to weigh that out on what is your goal, right? And how bad do you want that goal, right? Like we hit the 2 comma point, and we have another 5 and 10 years worth of goals to accomplish, and it made sense at that time because we're young, right? If you're young, now is the time to build it, because then you have the more money to invest into. You can leverage everything that you've done now. Now is the time to make the sacrifice, not later, because later you're already fucked. It's over, right? Once you hit that 40 mark, it's much. So put in perspective, an hour worked between 20 to 30 is worth 2.5 hours worked after 40. So if you also look at it on, you're saving your life, right? Because let's say you only live a certain amount of time. Like, let's say everyone lives to be 70 or even 60, right? I'll be stoked if I make it to 60. If you can do something, if you're going to have to put in the time to make enough money so that you can retire and do what you want for the rest of your life, the fastest way to get there is to do it as early as you can. Not as late as you can. Because if you do it after 50, it's 4 hours. Right? Think about that. Think if you would have just sacrificed 1 hour when you were 22, you could have saved yourself 4 hours. Times that by 10.
That's always an argument. Do you do it? Do you travel? Do you do all this stuff early, or do you travel and have babies and whatever late?
And that was the decision. Like, I really thought a lot about it, and for me, I made the decision to do it later. Right? 100. And I went all in on black on that decision.
And you still fully support that decision?
For me, yeah. For me,
and I don't think there's necessarily a right or wrong answer. I think it's just like personal preference.
It matters what if your goal is, to start a family and live a moderate life with not a lot of extravagancies, then you don't need to do that. There's no reason to, right? If you have goals that differ from that, then you might need to shift a little bit closer to the 30-day challenge,
and back to like the work-life balance point, it's something that I think about a lot, because it's like one of the things we've talked about on this podcast that like we sort of strongly agreed on in a sense, and I like, when you asked me the question of like what it means to me, I like didn't really have a good answer for you, and I still don't know that I do, but it's something I constantly think about
all the time.
And I think like the things I've been figuring out as I think about it is like, to the point that you said, where like your 1,000-day challenge is not balance, but at that time his goal wasn't a work-life balance. It was fucking work so that I can build something for myself.
But was it perfect balance because he was on a linear goal? Like,
I mean, I guess, but that's not the question. Work-life balance is different from perfect
no way,
balance.
shape, or form was it balance. But also, I think why, and this is a genuine question, where did this idea that like we deserve this perfect work-life balance, where did that come from? Like, who, like,
I think we were fed that growing up. I think I like go to college, get a degree, get a job, be happy. I think it was kind of like,
shit changed.
Yeah.
You like that can't happen now.
Yeah.
Or it can, but it doesn't happen as much.
Yeah.
And so like then the trouble is a lot of people who do that, I think, end up believing that that's what's going to happen. They're going to put in their 40 hours a week.
Right.
They're going to do the right things. They're going to follow the playbook, and boom, 50 years old,
The
60
balance
years
never
old,
comes.
the balance never comes, or they don't have enough to actually, put away. They're stuck working till they
Forever,
fucking die.
right.
Yeah.
And so that's my point. I don't think work-life, okay, so to fill you in on, like, the history of the conversation,
Yeah.
Nick brought up at one point that someone said to him, like, work-life balance isn't even, like, a real thing.
It's
You'll never
impossible.
achieve it.
Yeah.
Because at any point, if you're giving, like, 100% to anything in your life, something else is going to lack.
Correct.
So a perfect work-life balance, in theory, doesn't exist because it's impossible. And my rebuttal to that was like, damn, that's really sad to accept
in my
because
opinion, has a perfect work-life balance. Somebody who's already done the work.
And so that's kind of what I'm getting at is I want to believe that work-life balance is achievable.
Your work-life
but it's
balance is
gonna-
on a macro. What I'm
Yes.
talking about is on a micro.
It's not going to be for every day of your life. The
Yeah.
idea of thinking from your 20s to the day you die, you're going to have work-life balance is an impossible task.
And
It's going to take years and maybe a lot of years of 1,000-day challenges or fucking hard work and uncomfortable situations and losses and failures and attempts that don't work out. But it's going to take a lot of work to get to that point. The goal should be the work-life balance. And that's what you're building for. That's what makes you work 1,000 days in a row for fucking 70 hours a week, That's the goal. And then at some point, hopefully, you build something to the point where it works out for you and you can achieve that balance. And that's what you hopefully get to do for the last 15, 20 years of your life before you die.
But also,
That's a fucking finite period. And when you think about it, say you do want to have kids and continue the family name, right? Dude, that means that from basically the entire length of the child's, adolescence, you're fucking gone. You're not there.
Well, it doesn't necessarily no one's saying you have to be doing a 1,000-day challenge as soon as your baby's born.
But
you can feed a little bit to the family side and take a little bit away from the work side, but it doesn't mean it's a perfect balance. You're
No,
still going to be
yeah.
the guy that works a lot,
And
but you
also,
can be there to
that's
see your kid grow up.
to your guys' kind of point, macro, right? Once I have a kid, I would shift.
Shift,
Yeah.
right.
It
doesn't mean it's
because
50-50.
I put in all of that work early.
Yeah.
I can then rely on the fact that that's already been done.
Right.
It doesn't make sense. Like now, it doesn't make sense for me to hit 100 hours, right? Because it doesn't change what happens in our company enough. But when you're the only one there and you're trying to build something from nothing, right? And nobody else wants to give you anything. I started the company by literally renting a single room out of somebody else's office. Wow. Right? Doing everything on paper. I would get there at 7 a.m. and leave at about 2 a.m. That was my everyday. That was the beginning. And I was the one answering the calls, making the ads, helping see the patients, do the application, submitting the applications after 5, and then so after we saw all the patients, from 5 to 6:30, I'd do all their applications. From 6:30 until about 10, I'd call back people who'd gone on the website and shown interest, right? And then I'd work on the website to make it better from 11 to 2 a.m. Because I was going leaps and bounds at that time because I was the only one there to do it. Because if I put in all that extra effort, what would have taken me 2 weeks, I did today. Right. And that's where it has to be for you. You make the decision of, is this worth it for what I want to do? And that's where I see a lot of people who start their own thing. Specifically, if you're going to start your own business, you need to know what you're getting into. Thinking that you're going to have a work-life balance if you start your own company, you're kind of kidding yourself.
Yeah.
Because
if you want it to be successful, yeah.
Yeah, but why do it if it's not going to be?
But also to think that the reason people start their own company is to one day achieve that work-life balance. I believe in that, But to think that from day one you'll have it is obviously not feasible.
I gave up my 9 to 5 so I can work, 24/7.
Yeah.
But to then also tell people work-life balance will never be achieved sounds miserable, doesn't it?
Well, it's now that I made that comparison, it's really easy in my head. It's either macro on life or micro on life balance, work-life balance. That's all it is.
Yeah.
Do I want to be able to have fun this weekend at a birthday with my friends on the boat? Or do I want to be able to do that later down the road?
Well, I think also that was half my issue. Is what I then did was I would go out once every 2 months, and when I did, it was absurd.
Like social anxiety type thing?
No. Like what I would, we would go to the max.
Extra hard.
Yeah, extra hard. Party bus, Miami.
Wow,
all of it, because that was my one time. That was my one time that I had scheduled and set aside for me to go out and have my fun, because I didn't do it at any other time.
Right.
And I think I still kind of do that from time to time now. But because of that, the stuff that we did then, because I did kind of save up any of the money I was going to spend on that, like, was bigger and crazier than anybody else ever, not ever did, but most of the people I knew would do.
Yeah.
Like, great. Like, you guys go to the bar every day at, 5 o'clock and knock back 4 beers. But, like, we got to go, have a private chef in Miami with a and all, like, the crazy, really cool experience.
That's an important point, too, is I think, like, the actual definition of balance in everyone's life is different for everyone's life, you know? To me, going to the bar at the end of the day of, like, a long day of work and being able to relax, like, might be my balance. Where to someone else, I work all month long to go out one weekend at the end of the month, and that's my balance. So it's like...
That's a good point.
It's different for everybody.
It is different for everybody. I got 2 more questions for you. When you talked back to like the 5 pillars we talk about of like, religion, happiness, financial success, family, health, all of it. You had mentioned that health and then like social, I'm now working on it. Are you okay knowing that you're shifting some of that out of the work? Are you okay now stepping back in?
Yeah, and like that's, so I look at everything in a very binary fashion.
Yeah.
Right? It's either bringing you closer to your goal or further away, right? And it's okay to make decisions for things that are bringing you further away. And like, so a lot of people say, I've explained this to you, they say, well, why is it bringing you further away? Like if I decided to play video games at the other day, we played that one time. I was making a decision, and thank you for carrying me the whole gotten better too. We're about to double night now on
that's great, dude.
Rebirth. Not the real one. We get smacked.
Rebirth's more fun anyway.
Way more. But yeah, so like, why is it pulling you away as compared to just staying the same distance? Because time doesn't stop. So if the time keeps going on, you're not actually staying still. You're actually being pulled further away. So something can either bring you further from your goal or closer. And like you guys said, it matters what the goal is, but my goals are mostly, achievement based, financial, and also what I want to be able to do for people. Yeah. Right. And with those goals in mind, yes, if I'm going and playing video games or going and hanging out or even, working out, that is taking me away from my main goal. Yeah. As long as you're conscious about that, right, and honest with yourself and saying, okay, I disagree when people say, I need to take this time off so that I can get closer to my goal, right? You're justifying it and you're lying to yourself, in my opinion. This is not everybody's, and not everybody's going to like that when I say it. Right? When you say, oh, I need to go splurge on this thing or take, the day off because if I don't, I won't be as productive. And if I do take it, then I can be more productive and get to the goal faster. No, just make the conscious decision and say, this is taking me away from my goal, but that's okay, right? If you're making the conscious decision to say, I'm okay with this, with being away from the goal, but that's what I want to do, that's okay. But don't, at least for me, I told myself, don't lie to yourself, Marshall, and say that, oh, instead of reading, more research and how to be a better manager and how to run a company better, right, at night when I got home at, 8 o'clock, when I get home at 8 now, instead of spending more time learning, I play video games sometimes. I make that conscious decision of knowing this is not bringing me closer to my goal, but that's okay. Yeah. Right. Once I was able to make that decision and realize that this is not going to bring me closer to my goal, but I enjoy it, right, then I felt much better about doing it. Right. Because I was the one who was in control of it.
That's a good point. The last question I want to ask you, and after I ask you can decide whether you want to leave it in or not. A few months ago on Instagram, or 3 or 4 months ago, you had posted this story about how you do everything for your employees. You're always there for them. But one night you had called a few people up and just no one showed up.
Yeah.
Right. Walk me through that. And first, with posting it to the world, I'm sure they saw it. And so,
Continue.
and I don't know, and that's what I'm guessing, asking what the reaction was. But second, what type of feedback did you get from people from posting that, like the general public?
That's a good question. So, I keep a rule with all my employees because since I am the owner and I, at the same time, carry the role of manager / CEO, which I think is a played out title now, as is the word entrepreneur.
Yeah.
Like I don't even like calling myself it because it's so overused.
Yeah.
Right.
But the rule is I will not be friends with you on social media.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
That's respect.
I will
Okay.
not, because they need a place to bitch about me.
Yeah.
Right? Nobody, maybe there are, but very few places you work are you going to love everything that your boss does. Right? It just can't, or else it's not a job.
Yeah.
Right? That's a hobby.
That's true.
Like if you love everything about it and there's nothing you would change and nothing that you do feels like you wouldn't want to do it, like that's not a job.
Yeah.
And I'm sure it exists out there for some people, but a lot
Good
of
for
people
them.
go
Yeah.
to social media to bitch about their work,
Yeah.
and that's fine. Right? I don't want to end up having to see it because it'll be, I don't want to hear
Yeah.
those things about myself or my company or whatever it is. So that was the rule I made when I started the company. And so they, I will stand behind what I said, and I did, I did even speak to them about it. So I'd be, fine with sharing it with them.
Yeah.
But they didn't see it in the first place.
Okay.
But they already knew that I, wasn't stoked that, like, hey, I look out for you guys, and the one time I'm in a spot where I need help, out of the ordinary, right? Because my employees are fantastic, and I do ask a lot from them, and they work hard. And interestingly enough, like, not interestingly, but surprisingly, there's a small portion of cannabis patients who are not very nice.
Yeah.
Many, like, they can be pretty rough sometimes.
Yeah.
And so they get put through the ringer sometimes too. So, but it was one time where I usually don't vent like that, but I was pretty disappointed that nobody would step up. And some of them, they couldn't, right?
Yeah.
They didn't have the opportunity to. But other ones,
Some of them made the conscious decision not to show up.
yeah. And what it was we couldn't see patients that next day. Someone was sick, right? The doctor, my mother, was sick. She couldn't see patients the next day. We didn't know that it would be like this until 6 p.m. on a Sunday. We had patients on Monday, and I called everybody who had the available skills to help me fix it right away. And some of them said, I can't, I'm out here. And, it was like, I can't, I'm out here, but I'll be back in a little bit. It was, yeah, man, I'm really sorry, I can't, I'm at dinner right now.
Yeah.
And it has to occur in your head, like, are you going to be at dinner for the next, 5 hours? Or could you, would you be okay with, curtailing dinner, or even once you're done with dinner at a natural period, helping me out?
Yeah.
And also, I wasn't asking them to come to the office.
Yeah.
They could do it from home, from their laptop.
Yeah.
Right. I wasn't asking them anything crazy or to drive there. And it was just, sometimes I'm reminded that while during business hours they do a lot for me, outside of that, very few people are going to be willing to go above and beyond that.
Yeah.
And it's, sometimes I get reminded of that, and that's okay. I wasn't, wasn't upset with them because that was outside of their normal work responsibilities.
Sure.
So really, I was just more frustrated that, like, people that when I've helped them out with things that are well past my responsibilities as their employer, when I do that, I think pretty frequently.
An eye for an eye.
Yeah, and I, and that's part of my job. I need to do things for them, and I cannot expect the same to be returned.
Mm-hmm.
Sure. Yeah.
Right. It's like the reason why, like, some of them ask me, like, oh, what would you like for your birthday? So you should never be buying your boss a birthday present.
Mm-hmm.
I'll buy you a birthday present.
Mm-hmm.
You should never be buying me dinner. It should always be one. It's a one-way street.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's something I struggled with because also I am similar in age to a lot of them.
Right.
And where do you meet most of your friends at this time in your life?
Work.
You meet them at work.
Right.
Knowing that while I may be good friends with them in the office, and I'm, cordial with them and we have a good working relationship.
There's that line there.
Knowing that because, I am the owner especially, that I'm never going to be, have the opportunity to be friends with them, knowing that, like, the way that most of my friends talk about, meeting people, I don't have that opportunity. That was probably one of the bigger shocks. Things I didn't think about as a sacrifice of running your own thing.
My one devil's avocados to that is an argument for them could be, well, you're the boss, you make the big bucks, you're the one, it's your company, it's your name, this is why I'm the employee, this is why I get paid X, and this is why do you expect me to come in on a Sunday when I'm the employee and you're the employer?
100%. I agree with that.
Yeah.
I agree to that, and that's why I asked them, and when they said no, I said okay.
Okay.
I didn't continue
Yeah.
That was once I had been told no.
Yeah.
By the 5 people who had the ability to help me.
Yeah.
I was like, fuck. Now it is my responsibility, and I
Mm-hmm.
am going to be here till 11 o'clock because nobody was willing to take that.
Yeah.
And also, it goes back to something I've always said, which is, you do more than you get paid for, and you'll eventually be paid for more than you do.
Right.
Right. If you're expecting to only ever get paid for what you do, you will never
100%.
You will never get
No
that.
extraordinary employee has ever said the phrase that you said,
What?
That's why you're the boss.
Oh, an extraordinary employee.
Yeah,
I agree.
No
Absolutely.
extraordinary employee has ever like, well, that's
Absolutely.
not my job,
You know how many fucking brownie points you can get from pulling that little gig right there? A lot. You're automatically the boss's favorite, probably.
Right.
But the truth is, the ones I had called were my extraordinary employees, right? And that's why
sure.
And I wasn't, I was upset at the situation, not at them, and the fact that this is.
They probably also didn't respond with that's why you're the boss and I'm the employee.
No.
But anyone that's ever said that immediately goes to basically the bottom of the list.
And that's why I'm not friends with them on social media, because that's the shit that people post all the time.
That's a pretty good rule of thumb. You don't hear a lot of people say that, but that's probably a good policy.
And I can't, because I see, look, there's a new culture now of fuck the boss, right? I mean, that's not a new culture. That's not new.
That's fair to say. It's fair.
Fuck the boss. Forget the people who own this. They're making money off of what I do.
Right.
And the trouble is what they, and people don't like this, but I'm the one who had to sacrifice my time, my
1,000-hour challenges.
to start the company. Right. Think about how much of my life, if the company goes under, they go get a new job.
Right. Exactly.
If you take, for example, $100,000 and start a business, think about how much of your life you spent to put that away. If that disappears, you lost a chunk of your life.
It's a gamble, yeah.
For them, they have none of that invested, right? That's why I do make more than them.
Right.
Honestly, not even that much more.
Right.
Because I also take everything that we make and put it directly back in the company.
Good.
So that was really the biggest thing for me that night was, damn, if I think I wouldn't have been as disappointed if I hadn't gone out of my way for a lot of these people in a non-professional situation for a lot of them. You name it, bail money, shit like that. Most bosses
That's a solid point.
Would never do.
Yeah.
If someone gave me bail money, I'm showing up on a Sunday.
Right. You feel a little obligated,
and
right?
that's where I was like, damn. I need to remember.
It's a little fucked up if you ain't showing up.
I need to remember where, when.
The line that you drew in the sand.
Yeah.
And you might have crossed it a little bit by doing those personal favors, and then expecting it on the professional end.
Yeah, and that's why I think I was annoyed with it, and that's why it reminded me, if I remember correctly, I said I got to remember that it all falls on me.
Yeah,
right?
100%.
This is my thing, and I'm the only one who has my back on this.
1,000%.
And that's why you make the big bucks.
That's right.
Sometimes.
Last thing, if I was a little tipsy at a bar and I walked up to you, I didn't know what you did, and you said you own a medical marijuana office, I would like chuckle and say, so you're like a legal drug dealer. That would be my honest to God response.
Heard it. Man.
What? Yeah. What do you say to someone that, oh, you just a legal drug dealer?
So I wish I was.
Yeah.
We're on the doctor side. That's my usual response. We don't sell any products
Okay.
yet.
Hey.
That's
my first time I got high.
That's what we're working towards now, is actually to become to get our license to grow, which is a huge undertaking. And
you're gonna have fields out in Florida?
Oh yeah, that's what we're gonna be doing.
Wow.
But it's a very capital intensive. I mean, minimum of $25 to $30 million in capital investment to get started.
Holy shit.
Yeah, Florida's crazy.
Do you want to get like a small, like a 0.01% of that?
How much is 0.01% of 25 million?
$25,000.
Yeah.
No, I'm okay.
It's a good
But
investment.
dude,
Listen, here's what
we can tell people we own a grow field, and on top of that, when you hear the
I'm
world,
gonna tell people I used to be a drug dealer. That's good enough.
but we could be legal drug dealers. I might be. If I could be a legal drug dealer, I'm not saying you are. But like when I say grow field, the first thing I think about is that fucking movie with the two guys, Seth Rogen and
Pineapple Express?
Pineapple Express, when they go to that fucking drug grow thing.
James Franco.
Yes.
Yeah.
And
That's
I
a good
pray that's what it looks like the first time I see it. Like all the plants upside down. It's like yellow in there. They're drying
That's
out.
cool.
It's yellow.
I mean, it's very cool, but it's not.
Oh, you've been in one?
Oh yeah. I've
No
been-
way.
Like, yeah, like especially the ones in Florida, literally are like they're called hoop huts
Yeah.
for the most of them, and it's literally PVC piping,
Fire.
Like a
that's,
tent thing?
Yeah.
with plastic over it,
Right,
and then
right.
just rows of.
So that's some people's rainbow.
like a makeshift greenhouse.
Is
Yeah,
it when you're walking around there? Is it like going to a strawberry field? You could just like pick a nug and walk
no,
with
they'll,
it.
they'll freak out because
Okay.
It's super regulated, right?
Yeah, it's a medical product.
Oh,
Right.
fact. Yeah.
So
Everything's
there's,
super regulated.
Look, you got masks on.
Really?
Oh yeah.
Wow.
Like last thing you want to do is go to dispensary and pull.
You're
out
not going to
one
like
of
Cheech and
Marshall's
Chong's
beer
house, you know?
See, but yeah.
It's more
In
like
this
lab
state-
well, that was
style.
an illegal grow field.
In
too.
this,
Right,
in
right,
this
exactly.
state, like
Yeah.
other states, it's definitely especially in the recreational space. Like you definitely have.
So
a
if it
little
was
bit-
recreational in Florida, could like me and Peach grow in our backyard and
it matters what they do with the laws.
okay.
So some states you have home grow.
In
right?
Florida, are you allowed to grow your own plants
No,
as a
don't
medical
do that.
patient?
Don't do
Not at all?
that. No.
Zero.
No.
I
don't.
know.
No.
What's it going?
Just
We
asking
get
for
that
a
question a lot,
friend.
and immediately, do
I got a
not do
spare
that.
closet, you know?
Do not do that. But also, people also like that question comes up a lot.
Yeah.
And everyone's like, oh, well, this state needs to get home grow. I guarantee you, 95% of the people who say that they want home grow,
It's fucking hard.
that's what I'm saying. Guess what? You can make your own beer. When's the last time you
Yeah.
did?
Yeah, dude,
That's
it's
true.
such a good point. It's so fucking hard to grow good weed, right?
Yeah, to go really high
Really
quality
hard.
I've like tried to grow tomatoes before, bro. That
Yeah.
shit was trash. You
We've got
realize
hella plants in my crib, dead as fuck.
them bitches at Publix are so much better, bro.
That's what I'm
They
saying.
got
So,
it down
like,
to a science.
Great, you're gonna try and grow it. You're gonna be really frustrated.
You can make your own beer. When was the last time you did that?
Yeah, well, like
that
no,
was such a good
you
example.
go to the store and buy it because they're better at it.
Yeah,
Right.
true.
And it's
That's
way
good, dude.
cheaper in the long run. You
Yeah.
know? So like, sure, there are people who make their own beer,
Yeah.
and they get very good at it, but it's time consuming.
Yeah. Medical marijuana in Florida has gotten amazingly inexpensive as of
Yeah.
lately.
Yeah,
When I
yeah.
first got my card, I can remember thinking like, damn, $50 for an eighth. I used to charge kids from Benjamin that much, you know? But now you can get an eighth for like $19. It's crazy.
Oh my gosh.
It's amazing.
One of my employees got an ounce for I think $120 a couple days ago.
Yeah, I do it all the time. It's
Like,
great.
Yeah.
That's
It's amazing.
hey, we got that fire for cheap.
God bless
I
America.
did want to offer that if anyone who, any of the viewers,
Yes.
I'll be glad to give 20% off for life.
Wow.
As a
Wow.
patient.
Sick.
Just
That's awesome,
code
man.
Millennial.
Beautiful. We'll put all that in the description.
Yeah.
We'll put the links for all your stuff too.
But yeah, it's pretty. We literally medical mmjhealth.com.
MMJhealth.com.
Yep.
20% off for life.
Yeah.
Yep.
And you guys are located in West Palm.
So we have Boca, Boynton,
Sweet Jesus.
Boca, Boynton, West Palm, Wellington, Palm Beach Gardens, Jupiter, Stewart, Port St. Lucie, Melbourne. So if it's 130
Anywhere.
miles. Yeah, if you live anywhere in the South Florida, Space Coast area, Treasure Coast,
Fuck yeah.
come
That's
see
awesome.
us. But yeah, like it's getting pretty inexpensive now.
Yeah.
And they have some really
Like,
good stuff.
As a guy that bought my weed on the black market for the majority of my life, it's less expensive now to just get your medical card and get better quality weed from the dispensary than it is to hit up your boy.
It's much safer.
And
too.
Unless you've got like a real plug or
Yeah.
something.
And
But
a
I mean,
hell of a lot cheaper than that.
Yeah.
Than going to jail for it.
Yeah.
yeah, that's a
That's a
fact.
fact.
As a
That
guy
is a
that's been
very
to
good
jail
fact.
for it, that's a fact.
That is a very good fact.
even the court, even the court case.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
that's
I spent
the
5
other-
bands on a lawyer and I
Yeah.
still lost the case. I still went to jail. What? I don't even get why I got the lawyer.
Didn't even refund you.
Yeah, no, not at all.
No,
That's not
they're
how
not
it works.
refundable.
What did I use him for?
Well, even that's the fucked up thing in Florida. Even a cart, an empty cart, is a felony.
Crazy.
No, I'm running. I'm out.
Where are you going?
I don't know. I'm just running.
You gonna run in that big ass truck?
Nick the cart.
No, I'll
away.
eat. I think I would eat up to an ounce of weed if I was a
What are
drug
you gonna do
dealer.
with the cart?
What?
Wait,
You can eat
hold
the
on.
cart?
I
What's the
have-
car? Glass?
No, one of these things.
Oh, in my butthole. I'm not even kidding. If I knew it was jail, that's going in my butthole.
That's the next live stream. How much money will it take to get Nick to put one of those?
I'm just gonna call the cops and not tell them.
You're not putting that in your asshole for jail time?
That didn't even cross my mind, to be honest.
Why was it the first?
Dude, that's... I might have said that way too fast.
You did.
Okay.
No
But I
way.
am sticking that cartridge up my ass to go.
I shouldn't have let you know that it's separated. I
I
should
might-
have let you do the whole
I would
thing.
stick that up my ass too. I would stick this whole thing.
He's so quick.
A very average skinny penis up my ass.
And you know for a fact it'll fit, right?
Probably an iPhone plus length, pencil width.
I really feel like so. I have two stories real quick that apply to both of those.
Okay, this is interesting.
This is like a construction.
So we have a patient who calls in, and I can't say his name because of HIPAA, but
Yeah.
he calls in. He's about 67. Our average patient is older.
Yeah, stuck a gummy up my ass.
So he calls. He's like, every time I use the flower, like my throat is killing me.
Every
My
time I
throat-
use that giggle bush.
Every time I do the regular, but every time my throat is killing me.
Yeah.
Or like where did you get it from? Is there anything discolored? He's like, he tells me that's where he got it from. Tells what it is. Seems fine.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, yeah, it's also like my teeth. It's all like on my teeth and stuff. And we go,
He was eating it?
Sir, are you smoking this or are you eating it? He goes, yeah, I've been chewing it. She's like,
Oh,
we're like,
no.
no.
Oh my god.
No, you're supposed to smoke this. And like that was really like, hey, we put in our literature like here's how you use flour because we even asked him,
Damn.
like, have you not ever seen like the movies where they smoke weed?
All right, bro,
Right.
you got to be pretty socially inept though to go 67
He made it
years
60 years.
and not know that at least you smoke it.
Have you ever eaten a nug?
Um,
It's like your body wants to reject it. It's
You
hard.
had?
Yeah.
like on purpose?
Oh yeah, kinda.
What?
Yeah.
Okay. Well,
Your body doesn't want to eat it.
We have patients who make tea out of it, but yeah.
Yeah, that's acceptable.
those are always the funnest back in college when we used to buy weed brownies, and you literally didn't know if there was 5 milligrams
It was a
or
gamble.
50 milligrams of THC.
Yeah.
And you would just cheers and down it with your friends, and then it was fun.
Do you have a bad story of eating too much edibles?
I was feeling vibrations. I was in the fifth dimension and freestyle rapping at the same time. So
Did you
that's
spit
where
some
I was.
bars?
At. Fire. Yeah, really good. Because I wasn't on
Or
Earth.
did you
I don't
think they were
believe
really
it.
fired?
Yeah, right. There was no
I
witnesses.
had a Little Caesars pizza in front of me, which was my first ever Little Caesars experience. I'll never forget it.
How old were you?
Freshman in college.
Sick.
And that was your first Little
Little
Caesars?
Caesars,
pizza?
yeah, which I was so happy
I don't know
about.
that I've ever had Little Caesars.
Oh, you're fucking up.
It's
We
like,
have one of those around here? I've never seen
yeah,
one.
in Indian Town.
It's not good.
Yeah.
but
But it's $5 and
yeah.
it's ready.
yeah,
It makes me think of Hungry Howie's in Tallahassee.
it's better than Hungry Howie's.
Really?
It's like,
Hungry
I would
Howie's
say
a lot.
DiGiorno level.
It's pretty.
Better than
It's not
DiGiorno?
great, but it's good. And like
What's the appeal?
the cheese tastes. It's that really cheap, stringy Americanized cheese pizza.
Okay.
It almost is like
Looks good, but it just isn't real
almost.
cheese. type
It's like
thing.
an upgraded school cafeteria pizza.
Yeah. How about Mexican
That's kind of
pizza?
the-
School cafeteria Mexican
Yeah,
pizza?
the
with
fire-
the
Yeah.
hexagon?
Yeah, the hot
It's
fire.
like a big one of those that you can get as an adult. and then shit yourself.
I might have to try it.
I'm
sold.
Down. Yeah, I'm.
Second thing about putting things up your ass. We had a patient who called in, and we don't put
anything up patients' asses.
Unless they ask. Because we don't put suppositories on their orders, right? Because very few people.
They exist though.
Oh yeah. And they're really more intended for cancer patients, people who cannot intake cannabis in any other way, because there's definitely easier ways to do it.
Yeah.
And this one guy calls in, and he is insistent on having edible or on having suppositories added. We're like, all right, we'll add it. But
we got a surplus.
but they come in like 50 milligrams to start.
That's a pretty decent dosage.
Yeah, especially up your ass.
You like take it in faster because it's the ass?
It's much longer. Probably the worst use for this. Exactly.
All right, bro. And I got no preference. Either this man's super gay or really super gay. Because why would you ask, and I love gays, why would you ask for an elongated dildo of weed?
Okay.
No, not the actual suppository. Not the physical thing.
Why do you keep going to this?
Listen, dude.
Not the physical thing.
I'm imagining this man sticking this up his ass.
The amount of time that it lasts for is longer.
Oh, because
He's thinking it's like a pocky stick.
Like 3 minutes? Oh, right, yeah.
It's like a pocky stick.
Rock candy.
Yeah. Okay, no. It lasts longer.
Okay.
It lasts
okay.
longer. So
All right.
important to clarify there.
I didn't realize it was important to clarify.
I know what I'm getting.
As we realized with the guy who tried to chew it.
That's so funny.
No, so we tell him, look, when you take it, it's going to take because it lasts longer. It takes a
while to kick in.
It's slower than edibles usually. So do not put a second. Right? Do not do another.
5 deep. It's not.
This man stuck 2 dildos on his ass.
Okay.
Just
So
one?
we also thought that
I'll take the Girl Scouts 10-inch. 8 wasn't enough last week.
Can I so we think it was because this was how he was going to approach ass play with his wife.
Yeah.
That's what we were pretty sure. No, Susan, the doctor told me I had to do it.
Right,
okay.
exactly.
Put it up my ass.
You do it for me though.
Yeah. Slow. It's long.
Yeah.
No, so he calls us the next day. He's like, after about 2 hours, I wasn't feeling anything, so I put a second up there, and I'm so high, I can't make it stop. And we're like there's things you can do to get less high. Like, you can drink homemade lemonade.
All right, good to know.
Yeah.
That's a thing?
Yeah. So if you're ever too high,
Like literal lemons and sugar?
Pro tip, yes.
Who's ever made real lemonade before?
You should probably do it more often.
You've made real lemonade in your life?
No.
I do every once in a while.
Well, yeah, as a bartender, you do it for sure.
Okay.
So what we tell a lot of our older patients, if that's something they're worried about, we tell them keep some lemons in the fridge.
Yeah.
Also, taking CBD will also help reduce the euphoric effects, and also pepper.
Like black pepper?
Yeah, fresh ground black pepper. So
What, you just
or put it in the lemonade. It's not gonna taste great.
Oh, okay, yeah.
But
Good
anyways,
to know, really.
Yeah, wow, I've never heard of any of those things, to be
I
honest.
feel like you're the myth has been busted. Like you would know, right? I'm not gonna say that's a myth.
The guy who's never smoked weed before.
True. I don't know.
It's because the terpenes and that's the profiles. But either way, this guy calls in. He's like, I put 2 up there. I'm so high.
My epidocannabinoids are so high. My epidocannabinoids are flying.
What happens?
And we just have to tell him we're sorry.
We sort of told
he's
you.
like, do I shit it out? We're like, it's already been absorbed.
Oh,
she's gone, bud.
You shit out a lot.
Wait, so is that when they do the suppository? Is it something they're supposed to have exit later?
No. So it's literally made of glycerin.
It just
Can
dissolves.
someone tell me what a suppository is?
It's just like a pill you stick up your ass.
It's about that big and about that thick. It's probably about the size of a pen cap.
That's pretty big to fucking put up your
You were
ass.
just talking about putting this
you were
thing.
down for this.
To not get arrested. You're saying I'd rather instead
You
of
were
smoking.
volunteering for
I'm
it.
not saying, listen, I waited out. We could smoke it, eat it, or up my ass. We picked C. Final answer. I'm saying weird, kinky.
Something like this.
Yeah, almost
Nah.
almost identical. Okay, but mind you,
That is a horsefly, motherfucker. No way, dude.
they're also made of glycerin, so they're like
Yeah.
kind of
Glizzy.
greasy.
Yeah.
I had one, not the weed one. I had
Oh,
one
just
after I
yeah.
got surgery.
So there was no benefit. It was just for fun.
No.
I know what I'm gonna dream about tonight. 70-year-old guy throwing a pen up his ass. And is it weird? Is he hard? Is he soft? Like, do you flick it a little bit before to wake up? Say, hey, something's coming, you know? Or are you a little shrivy, you know, good morning? And, you know, I don't know. Maybe
I mean,
a warm shower before? Loosen up things?
They have THC lube now too.
Boy.
THC lube. They have THC. I mean, there's
He
THC
THC.
just said that
everything, yeah.
like he knew that there was THC. lube.
that's a good idea.
Yeah.
There's no reason not to.
Oh,
no, he
that
should've-
pussy gonna
he
be
should've-
high.
Should have lubed the suppository
Right.
with THC lube.
Yeah.
I got
Completely
THC
Extra
lube,
high.
and then I got high. That's a good song.
Yeah.
Guys, we're gonna have Marshall on again because there's too much to talk about in one episode. But
He lives right down the street.
he
Why
lives
not?
right down the fucking street. We will let you guys know when we're gonna smoke with Marshall for the first time ever. We're gonna do a whole episode with it. But no, seriously, guys. From growing a business from the ground up to his opinion on living life, which he makes very valid points, to just him in a nutshell, take a lot of notes from Marshall because he's a really good person. He's built a really good business, and he knows what the fuck he's talking about. He's worked like 15 years in two. So, and all joking aside. So, and it also on top of that, if you are someone who's considered or been scared about cannabis use, and wants to talk to someone, consult to someone, talk to a doctor about it, reach out because it's not as scary or as intimidating as you probably think it is. You're literally dealing with a medical professional, and it really could help you, whether it's doing that instead of a glass of wine, doing that instead of going in blacked out. There's a lot of, or doing it to help, any type of health issues. I've never.
Or if you're struggling with that work-life balance,
Yeah.
maybe you just need a THC suppository.
Maybe or just do 1,000 days in a row. Fuck it. Guys, MMJ Health. It's mmjhealth.com.
Yep, that's us.
Hit us up, guys. They also have an Instagram page, so find them on any type of social media as well. We'll put those handles in our link. We will see you guys next week. This is the Millennial Mentality.
Yeah, man, it was a pleasure.
Sometimes it might be that pink. Roll that purple diesel, that shit Cuban like my links. But I really like that Cali, cause that shit don't make me trip. Rather flip a boat, nigga, I still serve a zip. I remember being broken, I was down bad on my dick. And she used to call me Ollie, now lil' shawty let me hit. Wait, well maybe it's just Bully, got a nigga confident. Remember all them dreams that I had when I was legit. They're like, yeah, I love the streets, but I'm still gon' go legit. Cause you know I need that German with that brand new fucking tip. Fell in love with them foreigns, watching a nigga Euro step. Got me feeling like I'm hardened, cause I'm plugged in with the rep. Like if you touch me wrong, you might get hit with this tech. Let them birds fly like a nigga causing rest. And I swear they broke my heart when I seen them. But that shit, it made me strong. Now I'm right back on my best. Like bitches, leave me alone. Why I get linked on this tech? Like little bitches, leave me alone. Unless you gonna drop that neck. Like little bitches, leave me alone. Unless you talking about a check. Boy, deuces out of soda, turn it over, watch it sing. Yeah, sometimes it might be purple, sometimes it might be that pink. Probably roll that purple diesel, that shit Cuban like my links. But I really like that Cali, cause that shit don't make me trip. Boy, deuces out of soda, turn it over, watch it sing. Yeah, sometimes it might be purple, sometimes it might be that pink. Probably roll that purple diesel, that shit Cuban like my links. But I really like that Cali, cause that shit don't make me trip. Yeah.